living out my Bianca, Rocky, my dad. This was built on their shoulders. Hey, my man, can I help you?
Let me get an autograph.
Nah, I ain't signing the autographs, but you get off my car.
You don't remember me, huh?
Damien. How long were you locked up?
18 years, bro. Just got out last week.
Glad to have you back out, huh?
I know I've been away a long time, but I kept myself in shape. I still got gas in the tank.
Come by the gym.
Thank you.
Curious what happened with you two?
I didn't tell you. We was like brothers. I was the best, though. But I never got a chance to prove that.
That's cute.
Hurt me? I know what you're doing, Donnie. You don't owe this dude nothing.
Damien's fighting the world and he's trying to hurt people.
I vouch for you. You think you mad? Try spending half your life in a cell. Watching somebody else live your life. I'm coming for everything.
You threatening me?
Something is going on with you.
Damien was like family.
Now we past talking.
Then maybe you just have to find him.
Do what I gotta do. Some of my methods you might disagree with me. These are family ties. I recognize mine. I know that they needed me. Somatic stress, watch it manifest. Got my only fear. I ain't scared of death. Did you hear me yet? I ain't scared of death. Did you hear me yet? What you gonna do? Threaten to take my breath?
I need you to let go of your fear. Let go of the guilt. Let go of whatever was and walk into what is.
I feel those chains are breaking, yeah. I fear God, I don't fear death. I see those stripes and take a step.
Good evening. Thank you for joining me for Think About It Thursdays here at Conversations with Taz. We have so much to get into. Sorry that I haven't seen you all in the past couple days. I've just been under the weather. But let's just jump right into it. Coming from the salon.com, this paragraph alone is why DOJ will win, experts predict. Trump judge Eileen Cannon's order doomed. Legal experts predicted that U.S. District Judge Eileen Cannon's order assigning a special master to review documents seized from former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence, it is a golf resort, would be struck down after an appeal from the Justice Department. The DOJ, in a 67-page filing, asked the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals in Atlanta to overturn Cannon's order and end the special master review, arguing the Trump appointee erred by siding with former President Trump. The DOJ argued that there was no threat to Trump's rights because the search of Mar-a-Lago was authorized by a federal judge and because Trump had no right to the documents in the first place. And just a small caveat, over on Truth Social And recently on Fox News, Trump is reverting back to his original lie that the FBI planted the information. Now, remember, he started with the FBI planted the information, then he declassified the information. And there's so much more to get into regarding this. Yeah, we're just going to run these videos regarding Trump and his lies, and we're going to come back and talk about them afterwards. Take a look.
Donald Trump signed legal documents in 2020 that he knew included false voter fraud numbers, according to a judge's 18-page opinion released yesterday. The judge found internal Trump emails that prove Trump knew the specific numbers of voter fraud were wrong, but he continued to use those numbers, both in court and to the public. The judge said these emails are sufficient proof of a conspiracy to defraud the United States.
So it seems like the former host of The Celebrity Apprentice, otherwise known as Eric's dad, handed over sensitive American government documents to a civilian who used to be the lawyer for the Nixon administration. And here's the audio.
You hear him handing them over to Bob Woodward in real time and listen to what he says.
Nobody else has them, but I want you to treat them with respect. I understand. And don't say I gave them to you, okay? Okay. But I think it's okay. Normally, I wasn't going to give them to Bob, you know. Would you make a photostat of them or something?
No, I dictated them into a tape recorder.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know which part.
What the fuck is Trump thinking? Is he thinking he's going to win a Pulitzer Prize for turning these documents over to Bob Woodward? And if you were wondering what my facial expressions were about, I was trying to imitate the orange Cheeto by doing the whole shrug shoulder face thing. But again, I can't con people the way he can.
Holy shit, you guys. Oh my god. Judge Deary, the special master that Donald Trump chose, he just told Trump's team that he does not have time for their fucking lies. Literally. He said, and I quote, "No patience for their nonsense assertions. Where's the beef?" He said, "Prove you declassified. Prove you have privilege. They can't do it." Not only that, he's about to pull a "this you?" Deary, I'm going to need at minimum a list of lawyers that repped him, Donald Trump, in a personal capacity and when representation took place. He wants to know the work production, anticipation created, and instances where third parties were involved. And why third party does not defeat privilege. He literally said, "Where's the fucking bill?" Oh my god. What makes this even better is that Donald Trump chose Deary. His team wanted him, and Cannon can't do shit. Oh, I love this for them. You guys, it's happened! Are you ready? The Justice Department just announced that it has enough evidence to charge Trump with criminal obstruction of justice in their investigation to his theft of top secret documents. He is now a private citizen, so he has no protection from prosecution. Yes! Oh my god! The same day he has to give deposition for a defamation case. Oh, I love this for him. He's having a no good, very bad day. I'm so excited! Oh my god, you guys! Oh, this is perfect! So while Donald Trump is giving a deposition in his defamation case, he gets served by Letitia James for his New York case. Prosecutors in the Mar-a-Lago case says there's enough evidence to charge him with obstruction of justice. And now, just now in Georgia, the emails show that President Trump knew the specific numbers of voter fraud were wrong, but continued to tout those numbers both in court and in public. The courts find that these emails are sufficiently related and in furtherance of a conspiracy to defraud the United States. A judge just ruled that Donald Trump committed conspiracy to defraud the United States because they found it in emails. John Eastman's emails! But his emails! I fucking love this for him. He's getting taken down by librarians, a black woman, and emails. Yes!
Now let's take a trip down memory lane. This isn't the first time Trump has trusted Woodward, the acclaimed Nixon attorney. And this goes to show the level of narcissism that Trump has. And let us also not forget the amount of recordings that have come out of the Trump White House regarding him, Melania, Ivanka, and like I said, once again, right now on Truth Social and via Fox News, Trump is reverting back to the FBI planted it. And for those of y'all that still think that he's an astute businessman, did the FBI plant this at Trump Tower? Take a look.
Only eat food from Trump Tower for the entire day. $143 later, our first meal is a $19 avocado salad. This is one of the worst salads I've ever seen in my life. For $19, it doesn't make the matter any better. Now looking at this nasty looking romaine lettuce, this is so stupid on so many levels.
For lunch, we got a $31 terrace burger. This is $31? Looks like the Burger King Whopper that they make during Halloween. Unless you're Elon Musk, bro, I cannot justify spending $31 for an average burger. It's like a cookout burger.
Our dinner is gonna be a $41 lobster roll. $41 later and you got yourself a piece of bread with artificial lobster meat. This is the most rancid shit I've ever tried in 2022. Does that look appetizing to you guys?
Next up, we got dessert. Out of everything we've eaten, I think this is without a doubt the biggest ripoff.
Wrong.
S'mores for $18 for a marshmallow. Could have made a s'more home. $4. Go call my bank and see if I can get my money back.
This is why Trump tries so hard to cosplay wealthy. And this is why I keep telling y'all, you can tell somebody who's old money versus new money versus no money pretending to have money. Old money pays all of their bills on time, but will spend their money on dumb shit. Because what else do they have to do? They know it's not going to run out. It's been there for generations. New money does a bunch of dumb shit with their money. No money pretending to have money. They look at what they think from movies and television shows and social media as to what it looks like to be rich, and that's what they try to emulate. Trump has walked around with off-the-rack, untailored suits for decades. Trump has the cheapest self-tanner I've ever seen. Now, he says everything and every place that he lives it's gold. It is gold. I love gold. It seems to be gold plated because when you look at his skin, because that's a telltale sign. He's legitimately trying to sell people his favorites from fast food establishments. Because that's not fine dining. Remember a few weeks ago, I showed y'all another story where they were talking about another Trump property and how he lost a chef because he was like, oh, this isn't how it's going to be. And they took that salad that he didn't like and are making millions by selling the salad at another establishment in a whole nother city. This is a man that eats a well-done steak with ketchup. You know how like bartenders and waitresses have social media content where like, this is how we know when somebody's underage before we even ask for an ID. This is how you know somebody doesn't have money. Because it looked like that lobster roll looked like imitation crab. Let's venture into the NFL real quick. And their broken equipment rules right now.
Ken Dorsey didn't get the memo from the NFL about breaking their tablets. So just last week, Tom Brady broke yet another one of the NFL's tablets. And because of this, the NFL sent out a memo to all 32 teams in regards to fines for breaking their equipment. But I'm going to say Ken Dorsey did not get the message. as Ken Dorsey was a little upset that the Bills ran out of time at the end of today's game.
He got the message, but just like Tom Brady, how often do you all hold white men to a standard that's not mediocrity, especially in the NFL? They don't care. And Tom Brady needs to liquidate as much as possible right now. Dorsey might also too. But y'all keep calling us the savages, the violent ones. But y'all do that over a game? No different than Alabama fans. I'm not about to break what I paid for because somebody I have. But still in the realm of sports, Shaq has a solution to WNBA ratings. Let's take a look.
I have a solution for the WNBA. I don't know if you know, in males beach volleyball and women's beach volleyball, the net is lowered just a little bit. So the only thing missing is the dunk. So imagine, I'm not saying lower it to 9 feet or 8 feet.
Just so they can dunk.
So they can dunk. Just a little bit. So I think if they did that, it'd make the game more exciting. Just look, they got the handles, they got the shooters, they got the showmanship. They just don't have the dunk.
You spent your entire career perfecting your shot, knowing what your standard goal is. Now you want to change it all of a sudden. That's not going to increase ratings. That's going to decrease ratings. And if you say, okay, well, it's going to take a couple years to get it together, you're going to have to start this at the Pee Wee leagues. You're going to have to start this with the 5 and 6 year olds that are in their first year that have never played before and start it up from there. And women can dunk. But women are taught to have more of athleticism and less showmanship than men. See, and people say that they watch the because they're racist. I don't want to watch the NBA. It's more athleticism in the NCAA. Then why aren't WNBA games packed? Because the athleticism, the technicality is there. Because that's what women are taught. Not to be showboats. And women are generally taught in athletics not to be showboats because, you already have your feminine wiles. So no. How about you have current and former NBA players show up to the games? How about y'all speak about them? How about you petition ESPN to give them better coverage? But yeah, dunks from a man who couldn't hit a free throw or back out of a damn driveway with that. Never mind. Let's talk about the GOP. Let's go there.
How many people realize just how violent and vicious the GOP's war on women has become? The Missouri GOP bans women from divorcing when pregnant, even if they are in an abusive marriage. Ohio's GOP Senate candidate J.D. Vance says that women must stay married even if they are in an abusive and violent marriage. Texas GOP is suing Biden over the right to ban abortion for women who will die without one. Idaho GOP rejects an exception for abortion even if it's to save the mother's life. All of this proves two things. One, it was never about protecting life, it was always about controlling women. And two, we need to activate and organize like we've never worked before to protect women's rights nationally.
Now, don't you think it's funny that all of a sudden they scrubbed all of their conversations, all their talk about abortion and abortion rights from their websites, and they're not really using it as talking points. Right now, they're having their media talking heads, their sycophants, if you will, try to use it as gotcha moments towards Joe Biden. But it stems from QAnon and Breitbart. And speaking of Breitbart, Coming from the Daily Beast, Breitbart editor advised Marjorie Taylor Greene to ditch meeting Parkland dad. Another subject that they're currently avoiding like the plague. Not the plague of COVID, but the plague nonetheless. Before and after taking office, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene made a spectacle out of harassing victims of the 2018 Parkland school shooting. So when are they going to drag her into court like Alex Jones? But I digress. But she briefly entertained a meeting with Fred Gutenberg, whose daughter Jamie was killed in the massacre. That is, until Greene's office canceled the meeting because of house floor activity. She's been removed from... Never mind. Turns out that excuse was not true. Duh. Her nor Lauren Boebert or Matt... In actuality, she canceled because a right-wing media figure told her to do so, according to reporter Robert Draper's new book, Weapons of Mass Delusion, When the Republican Party Lost Its Mind. When has the Republican Party ever had its mind? Let's keep going. Which Confider obtained and reviewed in advance of its Tuesday publication. Greene bailed on Gutenberg on the advice of Breitbart senior editor-at-large Joel Pollack. It shows what a fraud she is, Gutenberg told Confider. She goes out attacking and harassing people, and she's afraid to actually have to face them. It's amazing to me. She's not that bright. Neither is Lauren Boebert. I truly believe that they believe the things that they're saying. No, I am not giving them excuses. I truly believe that they believe what they're saying. And you have to realize there are people that you're going to come across in life that have lied to themselves and others so much that they believe the lie. I believe that they believe what they're saying. I really, really do. But from one school shooting tragedy to another, instead of gun reform, in the wake of Uvalde, guess what they're doing? You know what? You'll never be able to guess this. Let's take a look.
Texas public school systems will soon offer DNA and fingerprint ID kits for kindergarten through 8th grade students. It's designed to help law enforcement in case of emergencies like a school shooting. In Uvalde at Robb Elementary, police had to ask parents whose children were killed to provide DNA samples to help identify them.
The state just throwing their hands up and saying, we can't do anything about the guns. We're not going to change any of the laws. So therefore, the next best thing is to make sure that we can identify your K through 8th grader.
Here's a message in this that I think people are missing. They're sending out kits for kindergarten through 8th grade, which means the younger your children are in the state of Texas, the more likely they are to never come back home to you. Because they didn't say anything about 9th through 12th grade. Keep that in mind. They didn't say anything about 9th through 12th grade. And it lets you know how heinous and how heart-wrenching the carnage of the massacre, say it with me, the massacre of Uvalde was. That these children's bodies were so obliterated, they couldn't use fingerprints, they couldn't use facial recognition. They couldn't use identification of other people on the scene, the other children there, because they were so traumatized. But gun reform, proper counseling, mental health reform, No, because they love Reagan so much. So they don't want to reverse what he did. See, we didn't have as many homeless people on the street because the vast majority of the people on the street are veterans and those with mental health issues. That their families are like, oh, I can't deal with that. I'm not signed up for this. No, I wanted a perfect baby. I wanted a perfect relative. And so many things were shut down under Reagan that were never reopened, not by a Democrat, not by a Republican, not brought to the table to be codified in Congress by a Democrat, a Republican, a progressive, an independent, a Green Party, a Tea Party, a Pink Party. And this is why it's important for you to actually pay attention to the issues that are out there and the platforms that are putting out there and people's history behind it. Because if you have a politician that has never done anything but is promising you the world, why keep voting them in? I mean, politicians can present a change of heart while still being on that bullshit. Oh, y'all think I'm joking? Take a look at Pence.
If Donald Trump is the Republican nominee for president in 2024, will you vote for him?
Well, there might be somebody else I'd prefer more.
Now, you would think that he had a change of heart after having his life threatened and everything else. Baby, no, let me break this down to you, okay? Just like the founding fathers, there are certain politicians that understand lineage. So they're going to say certain things, you know, like Lyndon B. Johnson, like FDR. They understand lineage and how they're going to be looked at in the history books. It doesn't mean that they're going to go along with what they say, because the one thing that people aren't talking about too much, there are a few people talking about it on some local levels, but you're not going to get it on a national platform. Okay, so let's get into it. See, Pence is still backing, and his excuse for it is, well, the primaries are over, but the midterms aren't. He's still backing and endorsing people who believe in the vote was stolen away from Trump. So is he really not backing Trump anymore if he's still backing Trumplicans? See, he's crisscrossing the Republican platform and the Republican aisle. See, within the Republican Party, he's bipartisan. In the Republican Party, this is still a grown-ass man who's a closeted gay man that refers to his wife as mommy and can't do anything or make any moves without her being in the room. I don't know about you, but I don't need a politician that into who. He's also backing people who have some interesting views on abortion. And his own view of abortion is that he's a staunch conservative and we need to take it to the national level. But didn't they feed y'all that, oh, we're just giving it back to the states? See, they never give it back to the states. They just want to reverse a SCOTUS ruling so that they can make their ideologies the way of the land while they still break the law that they put into place. And see, when they can't convince you with facts, this is when we get an increase in conspiracy theories, like Trump. And the record he set regarding QAnon on Truth Social. Take a look.
Something really dangerous is going on Truth Social, and we need to talk about it. Yesterday, Trump went on a spree of re-truthing or sharing QAnon-related posts on his page over 22 different times. This is easy to overlook because to a lot of people, Truth Social is a joke. The platform barely works, it's a failing investment, but this matters, and let me tell you why. The last time QAnon supporters thought that they might have Trump's indirect support, they staged a full-fledged assault on the US Capitol. What do you think they'll do now that he's publicly embracing their cause? I've been screaming from the rooftops since I started my Truth Social research that this website is a hotbed for radicalization, and
had people move from Parler over to Truth Social. And Parler, you can't even find on Google Play or the iOS on the Apple store. But Trump is stupid. But Trump does have some yes men that are going to grift him the way that he's grifting his following, his cult, if you will. They're telling him to say all the right things. If you recall, Trump said, "Oh, I'll testify in front of the January 6th committee as long as they air it live," so that he can dog whistle his way into another self-coup. But see, he's been officially subpoenaed. They voted on that. He doesn't have a choice. He can't put forth demands. No different than the attorney that he's no longer using, that he paid $3 million to in advance. Smart man, because Trump usually doesn't pay his bills. But let's look at the one Trump butt buddy that's getting no press from Trump, but burning through everything that he has to still have Trump's back. Yeah, the MyPillow guy.
Pillow CEO Mike Lindell claims that as part of the lawsuit that he has filed, to get his cell phone back from the FBI, he said earlier this past week that he and his legal team, which actually includes Alan Dershowitz, they have subpoenaed Obama's former CIA director because, dang it, I guess he is somehow involved in the confiscation of Mike Lindell's cell phone. So here is what he had to say. We also yesterday, now I'm going to get this wrong for sure, we subpoenaed Brennan, Clapper, a guy named Baker, who were, by the way, Barack Obama's CIA director, director of national intelligence, and FBI general counsel. We subpoenaed them in this case. There were other names too, but I don't want to get them wrong in case they didn't get subpoenaed. Oh, we've got other people, but I don't want to name them in case we didn't actually do the thing I'm telling you that we totally did. It turns out, though, that they didn't do any of that. Like, even those Obama officials who've been out of office since January of 2017, so 5.5 years, these men that Mike Lindell thinks are somehow involved in the confiscation of his cell phone, out of office 5.5 years, but they didn't even actually get subpoenaed either. Reporters at Above the Law reached out to the court, the judge in the case, like, hey, did these guys actually get subpoenaed? We're just doing a records request. We would like to see the subpoena. And they came back like, no, no, we didn't subpoena these people. First of all, the court says that's not even how it would work. In order to issue any subpoena at all, what they would have to do is, make their filing, and then we would determine whether or not we needed to, and then we would send a subpoena not to the individuals. They would actually have to subpoena the Department of Justice in order to even start that process. But no, none of those subpoenas have even been issued. So nobody has any idea what the hell Mike Lindell is talking about. But more importantly, I don't care that they didn't actually issue the subpoenas. I want to know, I want to personally ask Mike Lindell this question. Why are you subpoenaing the Obama people, right? The people that have been out of office for 5.5 years by the time your cell phone was confiscated. How were they involved? That's the part of this crazy conspiracy theory I would love to hear. Because we know it's all not true, right? Brennan, Clapper, Baker, they didn't have anything to do with Mike Lindell getting his cell phone confiscated. But man, wouldn't you love to hear the story? Whatever he's got cooking in his little brain. I would love to just hear him explain that. All right, well, here's what happened. And it would just be a wild ride from start to finish. And it would be completely fabricated, possibly on the spot, by Mike Lindell. But we're never going to hear the story. He's probably already moved on. He's probably already forgotten that he even said those things. But no subpoenas have been issued. Obama's people that have been out of office for 5.5 years didn't play a role in any of this. You threw your lot in with somebody named Tina Peters. She got busted. She's facing all of these charges. You were right there with her every step of the way. And now you yourself might end up with some criminal charges against you if, of course, the Department of Justice finds the things they think they're going to find on that cell phone that you are so desperately trying to get back.
A grifter's gonna grift. And speaking of a grifter that's gonna grift, if you haven't checked out this week's Tastastic Tuesday, link is in the bio, or go back a few, I think like 1 or 2 videos. It's also uploaded to this channel. And take a listen, because it has to do with this next story. Because like I said, a grifter's gonna grift. And anybody who makes it into Donald Trump's inner circle, guess what they're going to do? So coming from the Los Angeles Times, what to know about Parler, the right-wing platform that Ye plans to buy. And before I start this article, there was a mass email sent out to anybody that was on Parler. Nobody was BC'd. So everybody's been doxxed. But okay, following in the steps of President Trump and Elon Musk, Ye, Kanye West, the artist formerly known as Kanye West, may soon own his own social media platform that nobody can download, that doesn't even have servers, but I digress. Yeah, that's it. Parler, which describes itself as the premier global free speech platform, agreed to a deal in principle to sell itself to the controversial rapper and fashion designer, the company said Monday. The move comes after Instagram and Twitter suspended Ye after he shared a series of racist and anti-Semitic statements on both social media platforms. The rapper said the bans prompted his decision to buy the company. Was it the bans or Candace Owens now being your mouthpiece? Because Candace Owens' husband is, hold on, let me pull this up, is the CEO of Parler. And Candace Owens' husband, George Farmer, joined as an operating chief for the social media app Parler in March 2021 and was promoted that May to take over as chief executive. You all do realize that right after the insurrection, aka Trump's self-coup, Parler was removed from all, you can't download it. Those in charge of their servers, they have backed out. Parler is dead. That's why so many people flock to Truth Social, and even Truth Social doesn't, for them to be, a silent majority. They have not surpassed Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, Facebook. No. Are they not embarrassed? Now, recently and historically, we know conservatives, especially conservatives of the GOP, the Grand Old Party, aka the Republicans, have always said that members of the LGBTQIA+ community serve as a threat to children. But every time we turn around, guess who's actually a threat? And to you Christian nationalists or you uber Christians that go, it's the LGBTQIA+. No, because y'all will protect pedophiles, child molesters, abusers, adulterers, and everything else. Guess what happened? You know what? Trigger warning, but take a look.
Before we begin, trigger warning: inappropriate sexual activities in the presence of minors. So while Republicans are claiming that members of the LGBTQIA+ community are a threat to your kids and are grooming your children, they are ignoring the predators within their own ranks. GOP candidate who wanted to protect children from progressives arrested for allegedly masturbating near preschool. Yeah, you heard that headline right. Brandy Kaufman, who was running as a Republican for an Arizona college district's governing body, was arrested for masturbating in view of a preschool. A Republican who posted repeatedly on Facebook that we had to protect children from the progressive left was caught in his truck with his pants down, cell phone and penis in hand, near a preschool in view of children that were outside playing. When he was confronted by an officer, he apologized, said, "I fucked up, I've been really stressed." His excuse as a Republican who claims that the left is preying on and grooming children for masturbating while watching children was he was stressed. He then tried to claim that he didn't know he was near a preschool and was worried that the officer was going to put it in the report, and even asked the officer, "Are you going to put that in the report?" Yes, the officer is going to put it in the report. You are masturbating while watching preschool children. This man, Randy Kaufman, would go on rants that there was nothing more important than standing up against the godless, socialist, Marxist, etc., Democratic Party who is trying to destroy America. Personally, I think the more important thing would be to stop claiming that the left and members of the LGBTQIA plus community are nothing more than child groomers and predators, and actually start looking for actual predators, like Republican Andy Kaufman. And the final icing on the cake for all of this, while he's withdrawn his campaign, it is too late to take his name off the ballot. Meaning you 100% know that members of the GOP are still going to vote for him simply because he has an R after his name on the ballot. Meaning there is still a chance, after he was arrested for masturbating outside of a preschool while children were outside playing, that he could still win this election. And Republicans.
And let me add this caveat onto the end. That's why he dropped out. He knew he was past the point of no return and having his name taken off the ballot. He already has seen historically what politicians do, especially those from the grand old party. So please tell me what stresses you out so much that as a fully grown adult with a house, an office, all these different things, access to hotels, motels, Airbnbs, you decide to drive to a preschool and yank it and spank it in full view of children. But y'all are secretly trying to pass legislation against drag queens. People who dress up and lip sync and dance to music. But y'all love lip sync battle, right? Y'all love Dancing with the Stars, right? Y'all love The Masked Singer, right? Where do you think? No, man, that's too much for y'all. And like I told y'all, what Texas is doing in the wake of Uvalde, you have children with hit list. And now you have teachers with hit list. When are we going to reform and nationalize education within the United States as a whole, instead of trying to prepare these children for prison or to dedicate their lives to an employer that's ready to replace them if they get the fucking sniffles and guilt them into dying for a company and underpaying educators and wondering why education is so piss poor. You know what? Y'all just take a look at this shit.
A school teacher was found with a list of the people she wanted to exterminate. At least she said she had this list to a student. The student confirmed the statement from the teacher. The teacher was allowed to leave school, and the police were called hours after she was dismissed. Let me give you background to this story. Let's put up the picture of the school in question. A 5th grade school teacher was arrested after police said she told a student they were at the bottom of a kill list that included the names of other students and also faculty members. On Wednesday, a 5th grade student at St. Stanislaus School, a Catholic elementary in East Chicago, Indiana, told a guidance counselor that their teacher made comments about killing herself, students, and staff members, according to a statement posted to the Facebook page. The police identified the teacher as Angelica Torres from Griffith, Indiana. According to the statement, Torres, who's 25 years of age, also told the student she had a kill list of other students and faculty members. Torres was advised to leave the school upon receipt of this information, but police said they were not notified until the teacher was gone, and actually it was hours later. The East Chicago Police Department was not made aware of the situation until 4 hours after the teacher was allowed to leave, according to the statement. Now, let me say this. I do believe that's a significant violation of protocol, especially when you're dealing with the welfare, safety of actual children. She also threatened members of the staff, but she was allowed to leave. And then hours later, the police were called. There could be an underlying issue of mental health here. That's why I'm glad we have the good doctor on the program. But outside of that conversation, the protocol, obviously inappropriate. If a teacher makes a threat to a student body or to faculty of that magnitude, telling them to go home for the day is not the appropriate remedy. I do believe that there was an argument, a debate among the leadership of this school. And that debate went something like this. Should we call the police or should we not call the police? Well, did we find the list? No, we don't have the list in hand, so we can't confirm the list. But she did say it out loud. So we do need to call the police. At some point, that argument won hours after she was told to go home. Now, the East Chicago police chief, whose name is Jose Rivera, told Insider that not being notified immediately, that Ms. Torres made those threatening comments impacted their investigation. The quote is, "I'm not gonna put any thought on the school," Rivera said. I mean, they did what they felt was needed at the time and what they felt was proper according to their policies or protocol. But it does affect the investigation, because if I were to be contacted while she was still in the office, that she admitted to making those threats, we could have taken her into custody at that moment and not a whole 24 hours later. Here's another reality. They probably could have found the list. At this point, the list has not been located. According to the school, Torres left campus after students were dismissed. After students were safely dismissed at the end of the school day, the teacher was escorted off campus and the East Chicago Police Department was notified at approximately 4:45 p.m. A statement that was posted to the school's Facebook page Friday. Pressed about the question, the police assured the principal that the facility was safe and that they could proceed normally with all scheduled learning and school events for the next school day. But that's not all the way 100% accurate. The school has decided to go to e-learning while this issue is still unresolved. There's more. The following day, Ms. Torres was arrested and charged with 1 count of felony intimidation at her residence in Griffith after the Criminal Investigation Division obtained an emergency detention order, Rivera said. Now, Doc, I gotta ask you this question because there's some level of evidence here that the school teacher may have some underlying mental health issue. She's definitely, if suicidal, going through a mental health crisis. Their response has seemed to be very heavy, obviously, on the criminality of the threat, rather than also the issue that may be underneath it, which is a mental health breakdown. What are your thoughts as a mental health doctor, a psychiatrist? What's your take on this entire ordeal?
Well, I certainly agree with you that there's a backstory that we don't know, and as facts come out, we will learn about the possibility of some kind of mental health issue, which sounds like quite possible just given this limited information. But of course, the bigger story for me as somebody who's a mental health expert, but also a gun violence prevention expert, is the bigger story about just how we think about the responsibility of teachers. I mean, when I first read this story, I thought on one hand, here's somebody who clearly needs help and they should get help, hopefully. But also think of all the work we're doing in this country to arm teachers right now. And the assumption, which is understandable after Uvalde and other places, is the teachers are the good guys, they're the protectors, we're gonna give them guns in case something like Uvalde happens. And I understand that impulse, but I don't know, you teach college, I teach college. There are a lot of people in schools who I really don't want to have armed. And so I think this highlights the other issue, which is that teachers are human. They're potentially volatile themselves. And so I think the question is really, what's the role of a teacher? But it just makes me nervous on a broader scale, not this issue precisely, because I don't know if guns played out. But this idea that we're just blindly going in and arming teachers across the country really, I think, is a setup for a situation like this to turn bad somewhere. Not that it would turn bad, in this particular way, but it's just we're doing this without thinking, who is exactly that we're arming, and we're adding guns into the school.
You make a great policy point, connecting back to this dilemma that many school teachers face inside of K through 12 education. But here's another aspect of policy. This is a real challenge. There are school teachers experiencing mental health issues all across the United States of America. And it's not just attributed to, let's say, kids. It's not just the kids. Sometimes it's actually the administration, the faculty. But there's no remedy. There's no policy remedy to provide a mental health support aid to teachers in K through 12 education. That has not been presented. See, that would actually solve a real problem, right? That impacts learning. That is, there's an issue that we know of clearly, but there's no policy proclamation to fix it. They want you to believe critical race theory is the only evil they need to fix. It's not even taught, and it's not even evil. All right, we'll continue to follow it as it develops.
BIPOC community, hear me. Hear me loud and clear. Can we stop this adjacency to white supremacy and the white patriarchy? This is not a mental health crisis. Because when you are in crisis, you're not sitting down writing out a hit list. That is opposing of mental health. And if somebody is suicidal, let me tell y'all a story. I have a friend. We became friends right before this incident. And it took us years to, and we're still trying to get back to our friendship. We had known about each other for years, and we had connected on social media, and we're like, oh, shoot, we got this in common. We got that in common. We're going to meet up. We're going to do this, da, 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 da. Friendship blossoming. His son had a mental health break. His son decided that his solace was suicide by cop. I remember that day. I remember the news reports. I remember every moment of that day. Because it wasn't far from a dear, dear aunt of mine's house, and not far from where I had lived myself. Wasn't far from my children's first doctor's office, well, second doctor's office. There was nothing about what happened that he was trying to take himself out. I've had people close to me, even myself, try to take themselves out the game, and it wasn't about that. And for the administration to go back and forth, if it would have been a teacher, especially a white teacher, talking about a child of color that had a hit list, they wouldn't have gave a damn about finding the hit list. And they ended up arresting her without the quote unquote hit list. So can we stop? They know that there's a threat. And there's a college right now that's hiding the fact that there is an aggressive gun-wielding student on their campus that has assaulted another student right now. Can we stop protecting white and white-passing individuals and putting it under the guise of mental health? Like the same lie that's still following the story of what happened with Columbine. These were not ostracized children. These were people who had jobs. These are people who took 2 years to put together a plan. These were not the bullied kids. These were the fucking bullies. The bullied, the marginalized, the disabled kids in these schools are not shooting them up. You want a policy that's going to save us from this? Pay teachers a proper amount. Stop treating teachers as if they are glorified fucking babysitters. Give them the respect that they deserve. You give more fucking respect to a goddamn coach than you do a fucking teacher. I swear this country is so ghetto. It's so fucking ass goddamn backwards. And y'all keep wanting to be backwards. But I digress. If you all recall, I showed you all a video of a gentleman receiving a whole ceremony from the police and he roasted the police. Here's an update on that.
My name is Alex Mingus. Last week I was awarded the Chief's Medal of Valor. I'm 42 years old and I've lived in Minneapolis my whole life. I'm not comfortable around the police. I was given that award because a year ago I came upon the scene of a shooting where a man hopped out of his vehicle bleeding profusely. I was able to grab a shirt and tie it around his arm. I later learned that that prevented him from dying. But while I was there, 9 St. Paul police cars drove past me and the bleeding man that could have stopped and helped me save this guy. Why I don't rock with the police. I can remember being in the back seat of a friend's car and having a state trooper put her pistol to the back of my head, screaming at me. I remember being 16 on the city bus headed home from school and the bus being pulled over and me and another gentleman on the packed bus being cuffed to the handrails because I fit the description of someone with a gun. I was just 16 going home. In the moment, it's just, that's what happens when you live in the hood and you look like how we look. But now having some hindsight and looking back, those shape how I feel about our police. When I said we keep us safe, I mean that. In my circle, they would have done what I did. That's the message that needs to be brought further, is that we need to learn how to keep us safe. If I didn't stop, that man would be dead. These people aren't coming to save you, so you need to be able to save your neighbor.
Once again, let me reiterate to you all. The Supreme Court of the United States, yes, SCOTUS, stated, even though it is their biggest part of their propaganda, the biggest part of their PR program to protect and serve, police officers have no responsibility to protect and serve. That's why when you get a restraining order, they tell you there's nothing they can do until you're hurt or dead. And even then, they don't have a closing rate because the vast majority of them are the perpetrators of the bullshit. Let me repeat that. This is why they have a 2% closing rate, because the vast majority of them are the perpetrators of the bullshit. This is why they fight against DNA testing. This is why when they run fingerprints, a lot of times it doesn't pop up in the system. This is why they're always trying to coerce someone. They have no obligation to the public whatsoever. But what do you expect from an occupation that started with, oh, just go bring my Negro back. Bring me my Negro back. And y'all tried to fight me tooth and nail on Facebook when I said it years ago, when I tried to bring y'all the history and the education of where the police department originated from. But you don't want to confront the history of your grandma, your grandpa, your mama, your daddy. Because my father is older than desegregation in this country. Ruby Bridges is alive and kicking it and has an Instagram page. Please explain to me how the civil rights movement is portrayed in black and white, but Gone with the Wind has Technicolor pictures. And this is why all generations are fighting back over the bullshit. Think I'm joking? Oh, the GOP got roasted good this week. Take a look. And big shouts out to David Cross.
Comedian David Cross from Arrested Development just went mega viral after trolling Tucker Carlson and the GOP with a hilarious new parody video mocking election deniers. You have to watch this. Check it out.
Thanks for joining us. I don't know if you can hear me, but if you can, why are you doing this?
Look, I was there on January 6th. When Donald Trump personally asked me to run for Secretary of State, my first reaction was, pardon me? Literally. When he said he would pardon me if I helped him win, I was like, I'll do it.
Why?
Well, the Secretary of State counts the votes, and if I win, I get to pick the winners. And look, we all know that Hugo Chavez and Antifa have been messing with voting machines, and we need someone willing to spend millions of dollars of taxpayer money to prove it. And that's me and the other Republicans running for Secretary of State across the nation. I mean, Trump endorsed us all. Arizona, Nevada, Michigan. He loves us all. Says we're perfect.
I love that. Well, I probably shouldn't say this. I'm really glad you're doing it. Is there something that I'm missing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm Mark Fincham, and I want to count your vote, and I'll adopt your child. Bring that baby to me.
There's a reason why I've loved him since the Cable Guy. Yeah, we're gonna run a little bit over time, but well, Mr. Fincham likes to say that, and a lot of GOP and Christian nationalists like Amy Coney Barrett, Miss Handmaid's Tale herself, that gets all of her advice from her church, which is a cult, where she has to have an advisor because she has a vagina. Yeah, she got a lot of adopted kids too. But there's a video making its roundabout social media where there's a white woman going, "Why are white women more criticized than white men?" And a beautiful black individual said that it's because white women will pretend to be our allies. Here's a perfect example. Pay close attention to what this woman says during this book challenge meeting.
I'm the mom. I'm the person that challenged this book. For all these people to stand up here and make this about me being racist, this is not about hate. I would love nothing more than for every single one of us to go outside and pray together and have a group hug. This is absurd. This is absolutely absurd. This is my son.
Miss Kearney, please direct your...
I just want him to answer. There's 6 pictures of my son that his teacher puts on Facebook. 6 of those pictures, just within like the last month, my son is beside a black child with his arm around them because he doesn't see that. And I don't want him... This book is illegal, and if it's not removed, we will take legal action because I will...
I'm not racist. I just don't want, books that feature non-white children. So that makes it illegal. But my child doesn't see color because, most children don't until you teach them to hate their fellow man, woman, or non-binary individual. And she's like, "Oh, I want to go outside and pray with you." Slave masters wanted to pray with us too. That does not bring us solace. Because they would pray with us and then rape us. Men, women, and non-binary individuals. Men and women. Slave owners would get their jollies off with us. And then tell us our hair was too pretty. We were too pretty. Invoke laws so we had to cover ourselves up. Or murder us in the middle of the night. Or... kill us at such a rate that it just became a natural thing on Sunday after they left church to go have a picnic where they were lynching motherfuckers. Y'all can miss me with, "And I'm not racist. This isn't about me being racist. I would go outside and pray with everybody." And speaking of, I'm not racist. I'm just going to ignore serial killers just going after black women. Take a look.
Remember the viral video of a pastor saying that there's a serial killer targeting black women in the Kansas City area?
4 young ladies that have been murdered within the last week. We got a serial killer again.
The police and the major news stations were like, "These are just rumors, this isn't true." Nope, he was right. On October 6th, a woman heard banging on her door and screams for help. Behind that door was a 22-year-old black woman who had been kidnapped and held hostage since mid-September. She was also wearing latex lingerie and had a metal collar around her neck restricting her breathing with a padlock on it. She also told the woman her 2 friends didn't make it. In the basement, she'd been handcuffed at her wrists and ankles. The man had whipped her and raped her numerous times. She only managed to escape because the kidnapper took his son to school that morning. And that man is 39-year-old Timothy Hazlitt Jr. Police have said so far they haven't found any evidence of other people being there, but they've also sealed the evidence records to the public. It wouldn't make sense for this woman to lie about her friends being killed, especially because this man built a room in his basement to literally do this. His plan wasn't to do this to just one person. As for Timothy, he's been charged with kidnapping, assault, and rape.
Now, I originally brought you all this story a few days ago before I fell under the weather. But also, let me bring to your attention, there's a subreddit where it's called Stories After Dark. I wish I could remember the title. I wish I would have saved it. But at the time, this same thing was told, but the little boy was talking to his mother about the women in the basement and that how he wasn't supposed to talk about the women in the basement. And you heard that the only reason this woman escaped is because that man was taking his son to school in the morning. They don't take things like this seriously, just like Jeffrey Dahmer. For you sick motherfuckers that decide you want to dress up like Jeffrey Dahmer, take that ass whooping. But let me also say this. Jeffrey Dahmer had one of his victims returned to him by the police. No different than this man. Nobody was taking it seriously that, hey, all these black women are coming up missing or showing up murdered, and they couldn't believe that it was a serious. Oh no, y'all being paranoid. When are you gonna see us as human? Oh, that's right. When you finally admit to yourself the truth. But you won't do that. Kanye's at it again, y'all. There's 2 videos. Here's the first. I couldn't find the second video that Kanye was referencing when he was told that he cracked the code. And this particular comedian that I'm about to show you right now said that he cracked the code and was joking about all Jewish people around the globe being in one group text. But here's a follow-up to it, and then we'll get into Kanye's erratic rant. And y'all, please stop blaming everything on mental health. Let's go.
You were going to go deaf? And I realized, number one, Kanye, and I mean no disrespect, but your mother, beautiful. She seemed like a beautiful woman. Donda. Wasn't she an English teacher? You fuck. She would be so insulted by the way your spelling sucks. And this is coming from a person who can't spell. I didn't graduate high school. That's a fact. Your mother was an English teacher. Forget the content of your tweet. You can't spell, motherfucker.
His correct number, right, fam?
That's his
Michael,
number.
because he didn't.
That's his number, bro.
Michael
That's his number.
Rappaport. This is Ye. Yo, bro. Check this out, fam. You are trying to take away my free speech, bro. And although you got connections with all of your friends, fam, that's blocking me from Instagram and Twitter and all those other platforms that's trying to silence me, bro, you called me a crackpot, fam. Yo, bro, check this out, Michael Rappaport. You think you so tough? I'm gonna treat you like I treat Meek Mill and Puff Daddy, fam. Yo, fuck you, Michael Rappaport. When I catch you, bro, it's gonna be on, fam. You don't know what a crackpot is, fam. I'm not no crack baby, bro. Check this out. I'm going DEFCON 3 on you, bro. When I see you, Michael Rappaport, you better have your security with you, fam. Don't you ever go to Chicago. Don't ever go to Malibu.
White Mike don't care. And if you don't get the White Mike reference, we're brothers, we're singing and we're happy and we're yeah, Michael Rappaport will forever be White Mike. He don't give a fuck. He don't give a fuck. Okay? He's already from the mean streets, but you're going after him for shit that he didn't say, Kanye. See, you are so off the rails and you don't have any true friends. And this is what I've been saying about other celebrities like Nicki Minaj and social media influencers that don't have somebody that's gonna tell them, bro, you wrong. Sis, you wrong. You're wrong. And this is lack of comprehension. This isn't mental health. This is lack of comprehension. Y'all stop giving people excuses for being problematic people. That's lack of comprehension. I've had arguments and back and forth with people who cannot comprehend. That is lack of fucking comprehension right there. And it's also toxic masculinity. Well, I gotta prove I'm the biggest, baddest, and I'm gonna beat you. What the fuck you gonna do, Kanye? The last time you were in a fight with a fucking car and your mouth was wired shut when you put out your debut shit. You lost that motherfucking fight. Shut the hell up. Shut the hell up. And for the y'all, those of y'all that keep going, Kanye, come back to us, the black community. He ain't never been with us. He ain't never been with us. I don't know how many times I have to tell y'all. But as always, make sure you check out the links in the bio. In the description of this. Make sure you click like and subscribe and hit the bell. And also subscribe to the Camp Taz blog, because y'all, woo child. Woo child. And from one idiot lacking comprehension to another, Marjorie Taylor Greene, the great patriot who thought she was at a Confederate monument, but supposed to be a U.S. patriot. Yeah, she fucked that up. Take a look.
Okay, y'all know I had to talk about this, right? Marjorie Taylor Greene posted this photo for the Wilder Monument honoring the Confederate soldiers of the Wilder Brigade. Y'all, the Wilder Brigade was the Union. It was the Union Army. This is a Union monument. So to anyone out there who says, like, oh, if we take down statues, how are we going to learn our history? Y'all, we're not learning our history anyway. So clearly it doesn't matter.
The same amount of years it takes you to go through high school is how long the Confederacy was around. And this is how they think that they proclaim being a patriot. Honoring treasonous. Okay. That explains why they guzzle the glizzy of Putin. I'll swear for God. Let's go to this next video.
Here are the three biggest myths in history, folks. 1. Napoleon was in fact not particularly short. He was 1.7 meters tall, 5 feet 7 inches. Not massive, but pretty much average for the time. It was British propaganda. Fake news. 2. Julius Caesar, as he was being stabbed to death, did not say et tu, Brute. Shakespeare made that up. He may have said nothing, or he may have said kai su teknon. And you, my child. 3. No Viking helmet has ever been discovered with horns on it. They didn't have horns on their helmets. Wagner's costume designer made up that fashion in the 1870s.
And just to add on, Vikings didn't have dreads either. They braided their hair out of their face because they like to grow their hair long. And it was incredibly difficult to cut your hair back in the day because they didn't really have, shears or scissors or things like that. So blood, guts, mud, everything would get into their braids, and they would get a little matted, but they would unbraid and unmat their hair. Now, I will see you all tomorrow, but do keep in mind tomorrow, the broadcast will be pre-recorded Cause I'm going to get wings, y'all. I'm getting out the house, y'all. I'm going to touch some grass, y'all. But as always, thank you for joining me. Each one teach one, each one reach one. Till next time.
Let's talk about the Corpse Queen of Portugal. This painting depicts the coronation of King Pedro and Queen Inés de Castro, 1357. A joyous day to be sure, except for the Queen is not looking her best, because the Queen is dead and has been dead for 2 years. Pedro had taken Inés de Castro as his lover years earlier, but when his wife died, he asked King Afonso if they could be formally married. The king did not approve and banished Inés from the court, but Pedro would not be stopped. He left with Inés, and the two lived in exile in Coimbra for 8 years. Inés was Spanish nobility, and the king feared that this relationship might give Spain say in the Portuguese court. So in 1355, he sent 3 assassins to execute Inés. She was killed in front of her children and buried in Coimbra. When Afonso died 2 years later, Pedro was heir to the throne, but he wanted his one true love by his side. So he had Inés exhumed, brought to Portugal, lavishly dressed, propped on the throne, and crowned as his queen. Nobles were required to bend the knee and kiss her cold, dead hand. And as for those assassins, Pedro managed to find 2, had them brought to court, and had their hearts ripped from their chest cavities. Now that's true love.